Hey folks, welcome. My name is Emily and this is Gently Chaotic Knits, which is generally a video podcast series where I talk about what I've been knitting and sometimes other crafting like spinning or sewing or crochet, but mostly just the knitting. I am coming to you from Seattle, Washington, where I live here with my husband and our pup Norman. And it is January. Nope. No, it's not. It's February. It is, I think, February 2nd, 2025. And I am just hopping on for a usual project update video. So just going to go through the stuff that I've been working on since I last chatted with y'all. I finished a couple things and I feel like I've been working at least a little bit on lots of things. So I don't know, my knitting mojo has been quite high, I think, recently. So I'm excited to share with y'all what I've been working on. I'm trying to think about if there's anything else I need to say before I just jump right into it, but I don't think so. So let's just go ahead. A lot of times I would start with what I'm wearing, and in this case, you may notice this is also a new finished object for this episode as well. So I finished my Alvar Pullover. This is my first ever hand-spun sweater, and I am absolutely smitten. I love it so much. I'm so proud of it. I think I shared last time I was not done yet. I don't remember where exactly I was, maybe partway through one of the sleeves. I don't remember exactly, but I was nervous about it, and I'm not nervous anymore. I finished it. I love how it turned out. So let me give you the information and then we can chat about it. So this is the Alvar Pullover by Sari Nordlund. And like I mentioned, this is hand spun yarn. So I used Feederbrook Farms BFL. It was just, I guess, I don't know, their standard BFL. It was a pin drafted roving, so it was a woolen prep fiber. I spun it in a 2-ply, and I spun it worsted spun. If you're not a spinner and these things don't mean anything to you, that's fine. But I did like a short forward draft. I spun this yarn along with Tour de Fleece last year, so last July 2024. And then I cast on this sweater in October of 2024. And then just kind of was working on other stuff, was on and off with it, and didn't finish it until, I guess, like last week. Which was, yeah, January of 2025. I knit size 1, and I used a US size 4 needle. My yarn was incredibly inconsistent from skein to skein, so I did end up spinning this in multiple batches, and my first batch was much thinner, closer to the rough thickness that I was shooting for, which was roughly like a sport weight light DK. My last batch of yarn was probably like an Aran weight. It was at least a worsted weight, if not thicker than that. So lots of inconsistency, and I don't know if you can really tell when you look at the sweater, but I started with the lighter weight yarn in the like front pieces and the back. And then once I got joined in the round in the body, it just gets like thicker and thicker to the point where like at the bottom of the body, I'm using some of the thickest yarn. And then both of the sleeves are also in much thicker yarn. But I don't think it makes that much of a difference. I don't think you really notice it when you're looking at it or when I'm wearing it. Okay, what else do I have to say about this? Yeah, so I was working on this. I shared last time that I was pretty nervous about, not so much about like the shape and everything, but just about the color in particular, because you can kind of see the way that the color shifts in the body. And I knew this was going to be a problem when I saw the fiber because there were just different blocks of color. There were parts that were brighter red, there were parts that were more purple. And I tried to kind of blend those up when I prepped the fiber and I spun the yarn, but there was only so much I could do. And so I just went for it. I didn't want to alternate skeins because I thought it would look like striping, like micro stripes. And I think that was the right choice, but I was really hesitant that I would not like the way that the color turned out and I would not find myself wanting to wear this. And when I shared this in last week's episode, lots of you had lots of thoughts, and I really appreciate you sharing them. For the most part, they were all very supportive and kind and just like encouraging me to wait and see what it looks like when I finish it and then go from there. And that was kind of my plan all along as well. I was leaning toward I thought I was going to need to over dye it because I thought I was going to be unhappy. But I knew I was going to wait and finish it first anyway and then just reassess from there. And so I finished it and I love it. I'm not going to over dye it, at least not now. I am going to leave it as is and like keep wearing it. But I don't see myself wanting to over dye it because I actually really like it. I don't know. I think that the changing colors is, I don't know, it makes it feel more handmade in a good way, if that makes sense. And because this is my first ever handspun sweater, I feel like I'm okay with it looking handmade because that almost makes me remember more that I made this and that I spun this yarn, and I don't know, I think the color really reflects that. So it's not so, the color change is not so noticeable that it's like, oh my gosh, this looks awful. I think it's kind of subtle, and because it's mostly in the body, it almost looks not purposeful, but like it's okay, I guess. And there's some color changing in the sleeves, like there's some lighter parts. There's like a lighter part in the sleeve, kind of around the elbow and stuff too. So I honestly think the whole vibe of the sweater is just a little bit heathered and like slightly color changing, and I kind of like it. So yeah, let me see. I don't know if I took a picture, if I have like a picture or video of what it looked like before I blocked it, because this sweater had a massive blocking transformation, which I'm sure you probably would expect because the texture, like this yarn has, or this pattern has so much texture in it. And so when you block it, it just completely relaxes. And I was really nervous about that. I guess I wasn't super nervous because I knew to expect a huge blocking transformation, but it was even better than I expected. So I blocked it, I tried it on after blocking and was absolutely blown away. I mean, just, I don't know, I feel like the fit is so lovely. I think it has a really good amount of ease. I like how big the sleeves are. I did have to modify because my yarn weight was so much thicker, especially the yarn I used for the sleeves. I did have to pick up way fewer stitches around the sleeves and do fewer repeats of the pattern, but that's fine. I did actually cast on still fewer than the pattern said, and it was too much, and I had to rip back and then cast on even fewer, or not cast on, but pick up even fewer around for the sleeves. And the other thing that I slightly modified was that the sleeves didn't have any decreases as written in the pattern, and fortunately, again, I knit this one along with my friend Maya, and she went first and she did some decreases on the sleeves and recommended it, so I went ahead and did some decreases on the sleeves as well. So I think that was the right call. I really like the way that the sleeves fit, and I think the length of the sleeves as well is really, really nice. This is exactly like where I like my sleeves to hit. I do not like my sleeves to go too far past my wrist, like over my hand at all. So I think this is exactly perfect sleeve length, and it was way shorter than this when I blocked it, so I was nervous that the sleeves were going to be too short, but they blocked so much longer. And also, since it's a drop shoulder, like this part kind of just came down a little bit and everything just relaxed so much, and it turned out really beautiful. So I'm so pleased with this. Again, I knit this along with my friend Maya and spun it along with her. So we got this fiber together when we went to New York Sheep and Wool Festival in 2023. And we spun our yarn a little bit differently, but we did decide to knit the same pattern. And if you want to see her version, we just recorded and posted a video last week, I guess, or I don't know how far from when you're watching this or when I post this it will be, but the last video that I posted, and I can try to link it below and also maybe up on the screen here too, but we posted a video going through all of the matching knits we've ever made, and she in that video was wearing this sweater. I didn't have mine quite finished yet at that point, so I couldn't wear mine, but she did have hers finished and was wearing it. So if you want to see her version, it's also really, really beautiful. And they're kind of different because our fiber, I think, just color-wise and otherwise was a little bit different. And then, of course, the way that we spun it was different. She spun hers woolen spun, and I spun mine worsted. And then also my yarn ended up being quite a bit thicker than hers. So they're totally different, but I love them both. And yeah, it was so fun to knit and spin along with a buddy. And I'm just so proud of this sweater because, yeah, it's my first ever hand spun sweater, and I've got lots more planned that I'm really excited about, but this one feels really good and feels big to be my first one. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with how this turned out. Yeah, and I'm very, very proud of it. And I actually even like the subtle color shifts and heathering and everything in there too. So that is my first finished object for the episode, my Alvar pullover. And I love it, and I'm gonna wear it all the time now. Okay, I do have another finished object for this episode. It is my handspun socks. So I guess both of my finished objects this episode are handspun, which is very cool. But I shared about these last time. They were in progress, and I've talked a little bit about my hopes to do a 2025 year of socks where I finish one pair of socks every month, roughly. So like 12 pairs of socks throughout the year. And these were my January socks. So what order should I say things in? First, I guess I'll tell you about the fiber and how I spun it and everything. So the fiber is from Created by LCB. The colorway is Vintage Christmas. It was a Targhee bamboo silk blend that I spun as roughly a fractal 3-ply. And I did this along at first with my friend Maya. We both got this fiber and spun it together. And then some of our other knitting and spinning friends joined in as well. Megan and Ariel and Katie also got the fiber and started spinning along with us, and then we cast on Christmas Eve our socks together. And I just finished these, I think on Monday of last week, so I guess that was like a week ago I finished these. And I'm gonna put them on sock blockers so that you can see them a little bit better. I do think, I was talking to my friend Megan about this, I think that this may be the best yarn I've ever spun. If I'm being honest, I love how it turned out. I think it's very consistent. I think it's really nice and squishy. I think I have nailed the 3-ply sock yarn. I don't know, I just feel, it feels really good. So I'm very, very proud of it for that reason. The pattern I used is the DRK Everyday sock pattern, which I have knit several times before, and I think is really good for handspun socks, just because all the ribbing makes up for some, if you have any inconsistency in your yarn. It's just like there's lots of forgiveness in this pattern, I feel. And I really like the way that the heel looks and fits with handspun too. So, okay, let's hold them up. Here they are. They're totally different. This was my first one that I had finished, I think, last time I recorded. And I think this is my favorite one between the two. I think I like this one the best. I love this bright red part in the foot, and I also really like this green part up here. And then this one was my second one. I do like that there is a little bit more of a tan beige moment in this one, but I think from here up, it's all like a little too similar for me. I don't know, I still like it. I still am very happy with it, but I wish the colors shifted a little bit more. There's still like this part has some green in it, and then this part is more of that brighter pinkish color, and then it ends with like a little bit of green. But I did have to do some color management to make that happen. So you can see where I have these extra ends sticking out. I pulled some of the yarn out to make the color change more quickly. So I did that also here in this really bright red section. I pulled out, there was gonna be an even bigger bright red section. I did not want it to be that long, so I pulled some of it out and switched to the next color a little sooner, and then I did that a couple times in this sock as well, just to get moving and get through more of the colors in the yarn. I think it's a women's size medium. I don't remember, I think that's maybe 60 stitches. And as always for socks for me, I used a US size 0 needle. And I think they fit really well. I have not blocked them yet, but I have woven the ends in. I wove the ends in last night. So even though all the ends are still attached here, I have woven them in, and then I'll just trim them after I block. But yeah, January socks done. I am on track. I finished them before the end of January, and then I actually cast on my February socks yesterday on February 1st. So I am right on track, and I'll share about my February socks in a second. But right on track. These, they'll be ready for me next holiday season, and I will get to wear some really sweet hand-spun Christmas socks, which I am very excited about. So is there anything else to share about this? I don't think so. DRK Everyday Socks by Andrea Mowry, and in my handspun, which I am very, very proud of. I think this is a really great handspun project. Look at me spinning yarn and making things out of it. I'm very proud. This is a very proud moment that all my finished objects today are handspun. So that's awesome. And I've been spinning a little bit more, and I can share about that a little later too. So, okay, works in progress. I'm gonna start with a couple of new works in progress that I have that I cast on in the last couple weeks. And then I have some long-standing whips that I picked up in the last couple weeks as well that I can show you my progress on too. So why don't I just start by showing you my February socks, since I just mentioned them. So if you remember, I already talked about this, planning to do a pair of socks every month. The sock set that I am using for February is from Woolberry Fiber Co. And I mean, I don't have it in sock set form anymore, but I can show you the yarn wound up. So this I got from La Mercerie at their grand opening of their physical shop location in Poulsbo. This was in what, 2021, I think? So La Mercerie was an online only shop, yarn shop. And then Jess, the owner of La Mercerie, opened up a physical location, and I started working there shortly after she opened up in Poulsbo, and then moved to Bainbridge Island, so moved to a different location. I worked there for a while as well. And even though I wasn't quite working at the opening, I think I was still wrapping up my previous job, I went to the opening day or opening weekend with some of my friends, and I picked up this very special Woolberry sock set from the physical shop opening. So it was, here it is. The main color is Sandcastle from Woolberry Fiber Co., which I think is just a partnership with La Mercerie. I think this colorway was dyed originally just for La Mercerie. And I don't know that the mini has a name. I think it was just to coordinate with Sandcastle. But I really like this color. It is maybe a little bit close to my skin color, if we're being honest. So I don't think I would knit a garment out of this color, but I do really like it for socks. I think it'll be really cute for socks. So yeah, really nice, subtle. There's like some darker pink sections in there too. But a nice, gentle, variegated, soft pink. And then I love, of course, the yellow contrast color as well. So yeah, this is Woolberry Fiber Co. It's just their standard Woolberry sock set. I don't remember what base they use for that. I think it's just a merino nylon. It's a 2-ply. And for my February socks, I decided I want to knit the Midsummer Dancer socks by Sari Nordlund, but with a modification. So if you look up that pattern, it has, or maybe I can try to put a picture up here as well, it has a ruffle cuff, which is not really what I'm going for. I think I really like to wear my socks underneath jeans or in my boots, and so I don't want to have like a ruffly cuff that gets in the way of that. So I'm modifying and just doing like a standard ribbed cuff, and you can see I've barely started. I started these last night. So I just have a little baby cuff. Just a little ribbed cuff. I did do a tubular cast on. If you watch the video of Maya and I going through all of our matching knits, we did a pair of matching socks, and actually I think it was for the Handspun Christmas ones. She did a tubular cast on, and it looked so nice. So, or maybe she did tubular bind off because those were toe up. But either way, it looked really nice, and I was like, okay, maybe I will put in a little bit of extra effort and do the tubular. So I did the tubular cast on for these, and then I just am doing 1x1 rib for a while, and then I'll get into the pattern, which is this really cute little clustered flower lace pattern, which I thought was very romantic and went very well with this pink yarn and also with February as like a, you know, Valentine's month kind of pink and romantic. I thought that pattern would be really cute. So yeah, I think the only bummer about doing a pattern that requires like a little bit more attention is that I do often use socks as my like take anywhere, knit anywhere, don't worry about or think about project. So with the lace, I will have to pay a little bit more attention. So we'll have to see. I don't think it's a super complicated lace pattern, but we'll have to see how easily I'm able to read like where I am. And hopefully I can still take the socks with me places and work on them. But yeah, that is my February socks. Hopefully I can stay on track and finish them in February, even though February is a short month. But that is my first work in progress. And yeah, I'm knitting them on a US size 0 needle. I did not read far enough to see, I don't know if there are multiple sizes, but I'm doing whatever size is 60 stitches. That may be the only size for this sock. Kind of thought there was another size, but I just read enough to see that there was a size that was 60 stitches, and I just cast on 60 stitches, and now I'm just doing the cuff. So I'm doing a 60 stitch sock, US size 0 needle, and yep, just started last night. Okay, now the next project that I also cast on is a new cast on for me that y'all haven't seen yet. Is honestly where most of my knitting effort has gone to, and I feel like I've been really working on this one a lot. Let me see. Oh yeah, it's not in a bag. I'm gonna take a sip of water quickly first. Okay, so I think I told y'all last time that I was really itching to knit and also just have a cabled vest. So a couple of my friends, Megan and Ariel, knit last year the Lauder vest by Rebecca Clow, and I really liked it, and I wanted to make it, but with a couple of slight modifications, and so I decided to go for it. I cast on after I finished my Alvar sweater. Oh, I completely forgot. I don't have this in my notes. I knit something else during this time as well. I'm gonna make a quick note and I'll talk about it after the Lauder vest, but I can't believe I forgot. Okay, just making a note for myself so I don't forget. I'll talk about the vest now and then I'll go back to that. It's actually also a finished object and I don't even have it with me. Anyway, whatever. Talking about the vest now. So I have this yarn in stash, and I can grab actually one of the balls that has the label on it. Hopefully if I can get this out of my cabinet without other things falling out. Okay, here we go. So this is some yarn from New Zealand that I picked up when I was in New Zealand. It's called Bushtale, and it is a Merino possum blend. So you probably have heard me talk about this before, or other folks. Australia and New Zealand produce this really unique yarn that is made of brush-tailed possums. Like possum fur, not the possums themselves, just their fur. And it's so soft. It has this really nice halo. I love, 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 love the way that this yarn feels. I think that's part of the reason that I'm knitting this so quickly and enjoying it so much is I love the way that this yarn feels. So this is a 70% merino, 30% brushtail possum blend. It's a DK weight and the colorway is Shale, which is just a really nice classic medium gray, which I love. And let me show you my vest progress. So here we are. Oh my gosh. Y'all, I'm holding this up and I'm truly obsessed with this. I love this so much. I love the way that it feels. I love the way that it looks. I love the modifications I've made. I am really, really loving this. Let me show you, just hold up the back. Look at all those cables. This is a lot of work. This is so many cables, but worth it. I feel like it just is so cute. Okay. So this is Lauder Vest by Rebecca Clow, Creabea on Instagram and YouTube and stuff. Okay. I love the cable pattern for this vest, but I knew ahead of time that I really wanted the V to be deeper than it is in the pattern. I wanted a deeper V, and also I wanted more positive ease than the pattern called for as well. So I decided not to swatch, which I probably should have, because I was like, I really wanted to be this fit. So if I felt strongly about the fit, I probably should have been swatching, but I did not swatch. What I decided to do is actually you cast on for the back the same number of stitches for the first like 4 or 5 sizes. So I was like, I'm just gonna cast on, I'm gonna get started, and then I'll make decisions later on based on what my gauge is and how much ease I want to have. So I also was like, I tend to be a loose knitter, but I really want this to be a nice and loose fabric, and it's cabled. And it was DK weight yarn and called for a US size 3 needle. I was like, that is gonna be so dense. I'm surprised by that. So I decided to go up to a US size 4 needle, hoping that that would work out. I really think I could have gone up another needle size or 2. It's not, the fabric is not too dense, but I think I could have gone up at least to a 5 and it would have worked out as well. And then I would have less knitting to do, but it's okay. I'm happy with the fabric. So I'm knitting this on a US size 4 needle. And then based on my gauge is actually still tight. And it's gonna stretch some when I block it, but I'm not gonna block it out like that. I mean, it's only gonna stretch, it's gonna stretch some, but not too much. And so because my gauge is a little bit tight and I want more ease, I'm knitting size 3 of the pattern. Whereas I think if I had gauge and I knit the recommended size for like the recommended amount of ease for my bust measurement, I think I would be knitting maybe a size 1, maybe a size 2, kind of in between sizes 1 and 2. So I am definitely knitting a bigger size to get the fit that I want and to accommodate for my gauge being off. So I'm knitting a size 3. And not only is my stitch gauge off a little bit, but my row gauge was also off. My row gauge was also tighter. So if I knit exactly to pattern, not only was I saying like, I think that the V-neck is too shallow, I want it to be deeper, but it would have been even shallower because my row gauge was tighter. So I decided to basically, according to the instructions, I doubled the length of the V-neck. So if you can imagine, like, you pick up your stitches and you're doing increases along this side for the V-neck, I basically just spaced out those increases, like the increases, for example, if they were every other row, I did them every 4th row. If that makes sense, just to make the V-neck twice as deep as the pattern calls for. And so then accommodating with my tighter row gauge, it's not actually twice as deep. It's probably like, I don't know, 1.5 times as deep or something like that. But it's definitely deeper. And it won't be this deep actually even when it's finished, because you do pick up and do some ribbing around the edge, like the inside of the neckline as well. So it's still like, it's honestly not even that deep now, but it'll be even less deep once I add the ribbing in. And then I also need to do ribbing around the armholes. And I had to do some adjustment as well to the length of the front and back panels to adjust for my gauge being off. And this also resulted, like me making the V-neck deeper, resulted in me having to join at the underarm before I joined the front pieces, which like kind of messed with the pattern a little bit, but I just wung it and figured it out. So anyway, I'm like roughly going off of the pattern, but I am making some pretty significant modifications because my gauge is wonky and because I want the fit to be a little bit different. But otherwise, like, I am still following, you know, the nuts and bolts of the pattern. I will say, I have said this about a pattern. I think this is maybe my third Rebecca Clow pattern that I've knit. And I said this when I knit the polo. Was that Lunin polo maybe? And I will say it again, maybe even more strongly here for this one. This is not a pattern for a beginner. If you have knit lots of garments before and you're comfortable, especially with what we sometimes call at the same time directions, which is where you're doing increases on, like, for the neckline and also for the armholes at the same time and figuring out how to do that, then you can totally handle it. But I would not recommend this for a newer garment knitter because I was talking to my friend Megan who had knit this previously, and both of us are very experienced knitters and have knit lots of things, and we're like, that was kind of confusing. And we figured it out, and I figured it out, and it's not a problem. And also, like, I'm kind of winging it anyway, so that could have made things a little bit more complicated in my case. But I will say, I don't want you to see this and be like, yes, I'm getting in there and I want to make this, but I'm a little nervous. If you're a little nervous, just maybe knit a couple other garments before this one, because I do think that the instructions rely on you having a baseline understanding of how patterns and instructions like this generally work. If that, like, there's not a lot of hand holding, and that's fine. That's totally fine. But I just want to say that up front because I don't want you to jump in and be unprepared. So that's all I'll say about it. But yeah, I joined at the underarm and have done a few inches, and then I joined at the fronts, the front pieces. I guess I did that maybe yesterday. So you can see I've done a little bit since joining the front pieces. And so now I'm just in the body. You do cables every 4th row. The cable rows take forever because basically every stitch in the row is a cable. I mean, there's pearls. There's like one pearl stitch in between these cables, but otherwise it's just like do a cable and then a pearl and then a cable and then a pearl and then a cable all the way around. So those rows take forever, but the non-cable rows are mostly just knitting, right? It's just like knits and then the pearls in between. So that's not too bad. But yeah, I am probably gonna slow down a little bit just because I think it's a lot more stitches and the cable rows feel really slow now. I feel like I went through the back and the front pieces really, really quickly. I cast this on like a week ago, so maybe it doesn't feel that fast, but for me, and considering how much cabling this is, I feel like I'm knitting it pretty quickly. So yeah, what else is there for me to say? I already talked about my needle size, the size that I'm knitting. I talked about the yarn. I wish y'all could feel this yarn. It feels incredible. Even in the cable texture, which kind of like makes it a little denser, it still feels so soft and fluffy. And yeah, the possum gives it this really nice kind of halo. I don't know how well you'll be able to see that. Maybe not that well, but it's just a really nice fabric. I love the color too. I like it with this pink as well. Like the gray and the pink is nice together. But yeah, I'm really happy with this. I am very, very happy with the modified V-neck. I'm glad that I did that. I haven't tried it on yet since joining everything together, so maybe I will do that as well. I don't know how much, wow, I just smacked my glasses with my hand. I don't know how much positive ease I'm actually gonna have. I guess it depends on how aggressively I block it. I can't stretch it fully right now because it's, you know, it's on the needles. I don't want to pull it off the needle. But I do have that red crocheted vest that I have shared on here. I want to use as kind of like a guideline for the sizing because I'm hoping for it to be, it may not be quite as much positive ease as that one, but I think that'll give me a good idea of how much width and length I'm shooting for. But yeah, that's it. That is where a lot of my knitting this week has gone to, is this vest. And then, yeah, also finishing my socks. Okay, a couple other things I worked on. Actually, let's go back and do the one finished object that I forgot about, that I actually don't have the pattern written down. Okay, I knit the cutest little frog for a birthday party that I went to last weekend. So I went to a Taskmaster themed birthday party. If you're unfamiliar with Taskmaster, it's a TV show basically where they make British comedians do these like really weird tasks and they give them points corresponding to like how well they do at the task. Anyway, it's common for them to have a task that like the first task is that they bring an item that satisfies some sort of condition. And so my friend who was having this birthday party had us each bring an item. Maybe I should just like read what it said, but basically the idea was to bring a whimsical item. I can find the actual wording of it, maybe. Bring a whimsical item with you to the party. You must be willing to permanently part with this item. The item must be named. Submit a photo of your item and its name, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so whimsical item was the objective. So I thought for a while about what to bring, and then I decided, have you all seen these cute little frogs that people knit and like pose outside and they're wearing these really cute clothes? I decided to knit a little frog. So the pattern is Frog and Toad by Garland, and he's so cute, this little guy. This is the photo from the pattern. So cute! I really wanted to make his mushroom hat too, but I didn't have time. Let me show you this guy. He has the cutest little mushroom hat. Oh my God, so cute. Okay, here he is with his mushroom hat. Oh my gosh. Okay, anyway, I knit up a little frog guy. Oh, the focusing, there we go. I knit up a little frog guy, and I also made him a little tutu to wear, and I'll put pictures of him up here as well. I knit him primarily in one night. It took only a couple hours. It's really easy. I only had one solid green yarn in my scraps. I don't normally knit with green. It was a stripe, one of the stripes from my stripe hype sweater that I knit last year. So I used that for the body, and then I had some leftover like creamish beige yarn from my DRK Everyday sweater. It was Ulysse that I had left over that I used for his belly. And then I think that his tutu is Explore in its Moonstone. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that I had left over from another project that I did last year or the year before. So yeah, I think it was 2 years ago. So yeah, I knit this little frog guy, and I did win most whimsical item. So I did a good job with the little frog. But I don't have him with me anymore. He stayed with the birthday girl. So yeah, I named him Whimsy the frog, and he was great. I don't know. I don't remember the needle size. I think I used a US 1.5 needle. The pattern calls for fingering weight yarn. I only had DK, so he was like a little bit bigger. I had some stuffing left over. I just like have a bag of fluff in my closet that I just stuffed him with. I did not put anything in his arms or legs to make them like, I think you can put wire in there to make his arms and legs like hang on to things. I considered just putting paper clips in, but I in the end did not do that. So yeah, that was another finished object that I completely forgot about. So there you go. Okay. 2 more whips that I have to share about. These are long-standing whips that I just put a little bit of work in. The first one is my long-sleeved color tip tee that I cast on forever ago, like last year at some point, and then I just kind of abandoned when it got cold and I wanted to knit warmer sweaters, like thicker sweaters. So color tip tee is a pattern by me. I published, I guess, a couple years ago now. And I really like it just as a basic kind of t-shirt. I have a couple of them that I love to wear. But I decided that it's a short sleeve t-shirt, that I decided I wanted a long sleeve version. So I have not gotten to the sleeve part yet, but I cast on, had knit, gotten through the front and the back parts, and joined at the underarms. And I had some trainings at work, which I think I do a much better job focusing in those kinds of settings, like if it's training and someone's presenting or whatever. I like to keep my hands busy. So I didn't have anything that was just plain stockinette at that point. I'd already finished my socks, my January socks, and the other, like, I couldn't do the cabled vest. I had to look down and pay attention too much, and I wanted to make sure I could focus on the training. So I pulled this one out because it's just plain stockinette in the round. So here it is. The yarn is Grenouille Co. Sock Linen Singles. So it's a fingering weight single ply. I think it's 90% merino, 10% linen. I've used this base before and I really like it. And the colorway is Inky Depths. And I put a marker, oh no, this is just for the last day I worked on it. I think I put, you can tell kind of, the stitches were on hold. So you can tell a little bit, there's like a line where the texture is like a little bit different where the stitches were on hold. So I think from about here is all that I did, maybe 1.5 inches that I put into this on the body, but I'm not planning to like prioritize finishing this project anytime soon, but it is just a good thing to have on the needles for if I need something that's just plain stockinette to work on. I also don't have a good sense for how much longer I'm gonna go on the body before it's time to do the ribbing. Probably a little longer, yeah. This is where we're at. I'm knitting size 1, which is smaller than recommended for the ease of the pattern, but I really like a little bit of a closer fitting tee. And then I'm using a US size 3 needle, which is the needle recommended in the pattern. My previous color tip tees, I think I personally knit on a US 2.5, just because I tend to have, at that point at least, I had much looser gauge, but now my gauge was good enough to just do a US size 3, and also that way it's like a little bit more relaxed. But yeah, just a good basic stockinette in the round for me while I am paying attention to other things. So I think this might be the first ball of yarn, and I still have a little bit of it left. So, but there's the color. It's a really pretty blue color. I think this would be really cute to wear with like black jeans. I think this color would be nice. But it will probably be a while before I finish it. Maybe I can finish it to wear in like the late spring when you want your arms to be covered, but not super heavy. That'd be good if I finished it then. I don't think I have a ton of work on it left in the body, but sleeves and collar left to go too. Okay, the last thing that I worked on this week was I pulled out my Crosshatch wrap by Jared Flood, which this one's also kind of modified. I guess I feel like I modify everything at this point. I don't know why I can't just be satisfied. I have to change things and make things difficult for myself all the time. But this one I have had on the needles for a really long time, and I brought it out a couple times since it's been hibernating. But this is, yeah, loosely the Crosshatch wrap by Jared Flood. My modification is to the edging. I'm doing a I-cord edging rather than, I don't even remember what edging the pattern calls for, but I liked the look and feel of the I-cord edging better. Anyway, I'm using 2 yarns for this. This is a 2-color brioche wrap. You can see the 2 sides. So the dark gray is Rerum Natura Gilliat in the colorway Fusain. I had some of this left over from a sweater I knit for my husband a couple years ago, so I only had to buy like 1 or 2 more balls of it to have enough for this. And then the cream side is Spinaway Farms Italian Merino. It's a cream sport weight merino that is really soft and squishy. I picked this up at New York Sheep and Wool Festival back in 2023. And I can show you what these look like in yarn form. Here they are. So the original uses Brooklyn tweed. I think Shelter and Loft. So it is like a DK worsted and a like fingering weight together. So they are supposed to be different weights, which I liked that idea. I don't know. I mean, I don't think it really matters that much, but it gives it kind of a cool texture. And then I really liked the graphic. The original also, I think, is kind of like a black or dark gray and a cream or white. So I really like the very graphic black and white. Yeah, this is kind of a monster of a project. I think it's gonna take forever for me to finish, and I can show you, I did put a marker where I started on this after picking it back up. You probably can't see the marker because it's black, but here it is right here. This is my little light bulb stitch marker. So I've done maybe, I don't know, 2 inches on this. My big goal that I have for this is not for it to be ready to wear this winter, although that would be amazing, but for it to be ready to wear next winter. So I want this to be finished by like next November, or like this November 2025 is when I want this to be finished. I don't know how long to make it. I don't think I'm halfway yet. I think I want it to be more than twice this length. I don't know if you can really see. Yeah. I don't think I'm halfway yet. Every time I put this on though, I am just so obsessed and I want it to be done right now. But this is another one that I knit mostly because I did not have a good, easy knit project after I finished my socks, and I didn't cast on my February socks yet. So I went to trivia with some friends and I just brought this to knit on. No, I am not that good at trivia. So I just went and hung out and knit on my wrap. And I mean, there were a couple that I knew what was going on and was able to help a little bit with, but for the most part, it's just hanging out with friends and knitting on my wrap. And so I did not need to focus that much on the trivia. So I was able to work on this while I was there. But I really do like this. I would love to finish it this year for sure. But I don't know how long it's gonna take because it is kind of a monster. But I'm trying to think about maybe if I have a plan to finish it by November, I should go through and map out like, okay, how many inches do I need to do per week? I first need to decide how many inches I'm gonna make it total, but that could give me a goal. Like, oh, I need to do this many inches per week, and then I could get ahead and finish it sooner. The problem is I don't think I'm gonna want to knit this through the summer. So I need to do a lot of knitting now on it while it's cold outside and I'm feeling motivated, because in the summer I'm not gonna wanna work on this because it's so big and warm and woolly. So, but anyway, that is the last thing that I worked on at all during the last couple of weeks. So I'm hoping also showing it here, I don't know if it'll be really boring because it's gonna look basically the same every time I show it, but maybe that will make me accountable to actually do some work on it so I can show you all updates. I'll try to put a better stitch marker on it this time so that you can actually see where the stitch marker is. It's not just black and blending in with the wrap. Okay, next is spinning. So that's all of my knitting projects. I did do some spinning in the last couple of weeks. I finished my second batch of my Traveler hoodie yarn. So let me show you it. Here it is. So a reminder, since I have not worked on this in forever and I have not talked about it in forever, I am spinning a 2-ply with 1 ply is plain gray BFL from, I think, Northwest Yarns, sorry. And the other ply is a very broken up patchwork kit from Hello Yarn. And then yeah, applying those together. This was my sample, and this is washed, so you can see that it's definitely like more plump and cute after it's been washed. That's what it looks like. And then this was my first batch. I got better in the second batch at making the bobbins more even. This one you can see is like one big skein and one smaller skein. This is my second batch. In this batch, I put more twist in when I was plying, I think. So you can definitely see all these little pigtails from it having tons of twist in it. I think that washing it will make everything kind of relax and settle, but I put a ton of twist in it when I was plying, and that was on purpose because I really like the look of that, but it is very twisty right now. And the first batch has some of those too in it. But this is it so far. I have one batch remaining. So I have just one gray bobbin and one colorful bobbin, and then I apply them together, and then I will be done with this sweater spin, and I can cast on the sweater. Feels like I've been spinning this forever. I know I haven't actually, but it just feels like it has been a long time coming, but I'm gonna finish it. I think, yeah, I'm gonna do a smaller project after this, take a break from the sweater spins. I may actually wait until Tour de Fleece this year to spin up my next sweater spin, because I think the motivation of Tour de Fleece is really good for me for the sweater spin. But it's hard when you're spinning the same thing for so long, and I think I just get, I don't know if it's I get bored of it or what. My spinning mojo has just been really coming and going over the last several months. So there have been times where I'm spinning at least an ounce every single day, and then there have been times when I just really am not feeling it and I don't spin at all. So as soon as I finished that batch, I actually finished it I think a week ago. I have not started the next batch yet, so I haven't spun in a week. I hadn't even wound my second skein off of the bobbin until last night, and I was like, I'm gonna record tomorrow. I actually need to pull this off the bobbin so that I can show it. So it's been slow going, but I have a goal in my head to finish this sweater spin by the end of February. So I've got 4 weeks. I have 10 ounces of singles to spin, actually maybe closer to 9, because I still have some leftover of the colorful single on my bobbin. So yeah, I think I've got about 9 ounces to spin of singles, and then I have to ply it. I think I can do that before the end of February. I should be able to do that before the end of February. So I don't know, I'm hoping so, I'm really hoping so. But looking at it all together, I'm really, really happy with the yarn. I'm really happy with the colors. I think it's really pretty. I think it's gonna make a really beautiful, it's gonna be a hoodie, the Traveler hoodie by Andrea Mowry. I think it's gonna be really nice. I can't wait to wash this yarn too, because I do think it's gonna bloom and relax a lot, which I'm very much looking forward to, but I want to wait and wash it all together once I finish it all. So one more batch, then I can wash it, and then I can swatch for the sweater as well and get a sense for how my gauge is and what the yarn looks knit up. So I'm excited for that, but just, yeah, one more batch, 9 more ounces of singles. I can do this. I know I can do it. I just need to push through. Maybe I'll try to spin an ounce today, or spin at least a little bit today. We'll see. Okay, that's it for spinning. I do have a couple of acquisitions that I wanted to share as well. Let me grab them. I think one is in this cabinet at the top. Yeah. And then, whew, I think I also have in this drawer. Yeah, let me grab it. Okay, so I do have one yarn acquisition that is out of my normal wheelhouse a little bit. Earlier I was saying I had no green scraps. Well, here's some more green yarn. This is natural fingering in the colorway Nordlund from ZeeZee Textiles, and this is going to be our next group color knit for my Seattle knitting group. We, especially for events like fiber festivals, we like to pick a color and everyone knit something in that yarn color, so that we all kind of match, and well, definitely match. We all match in color. We can spot each other so easily, and it's just very fun to all be kind of wearing the same color. So rather than knitting the same pattern all in different colors, we just knit different patterns in the same color. So I've done this a couple of times before, and this time the group picked this really pretty kind of Kelly green, which I normally would not pick for myself. Like I said, I'm normally not a green person, but I think it's very fun and kind of trendy, this like, yeah, Kelly green. I have 2 skeins on the natural fingering, which is a non-superwash merino 2-ply fingering weight base. I'm planning to make some sort of boxy t-shirt, maybe one of the Ozetta t-shirt patterns. Like I haven't made the Miles tee or the Air tee, or one of those maybe is what I'm thinking for this, but I probably won't cast it on until the spring. But we did a group order, and I just got my yarn from Megan last week. So I have my green matching yarn that I acquired this last week. The other thing that I wanted to share about is not yarn, but is something I am having so much fun with that I thought y'all might like to see as well. And this is very much not sponsored or anything, but just something that I purchased for myself that I'm loving. So I think I saw an Instagram ad for this, and then around the holidays I got some extra kind of Christmas money or whatever. I decided to buy myself, this is called the Palette Scout from, I guess it's Zoli, don't know. And it's basically a set of color cards. So this is what they look like. Oh yeah, perfect. I pulled out my favorite color. Ocean is my favorite. This is the darkest. Here, let me get this one. Okay, so it's basically just a whole bunch of color cards. There are 2 sides to each card. There's like a brighter side, and then they mix it with a little bit of gray to do a little bit more muted side. So there's a whole bunch of these colors, and then, well here, this is all the colors that are in the set. And this is the bright side, and then they mix a little bit of gray in them to make the more muted side. And then for each of these colors, there's 5 shades. There's like a lighter and a darker. So I can show you, for example, this is, let me just pull some out. I can get them back. They're ordered right now. They're all in order, but here's the first set. So the first color I'm looking at here is Reed. So this is the bright side. So you can see it's like light to dark, all the same kind of base color, but different values. And then this is the muted side, so the side with gray mixed in. Oh, I just dropped some of my cards. They are sliding off my lap. Anyway, okay, so you have all these color cards, and it's just a really cool way to work through building color palettes together. Like putting color palettes together. So there's all these different colors. Let me see, do I put that back correctly? Oh no, I have it backwards. It doesn't really matter, but anyway, you can see them all here. There's like all these different colors, and then there are also these cards for each color. It tells you like all the different shades on there, like the fronts and the backs, and then it also has some like color theory highlights, so you know what the color's complement is, and then some other information about it, the triadic, analogous, monochrome, all these ideas that I don't completely understand yet. But there's also like a booklet in here with color palette ideas that kind of explains it to you. And there are these fun little games too, like the challenges. It's like this one is create a color palette that reminds you of your favorite song. How did you choose the colors to include? There's like all these challenges, a whole bunch of cards, like there's different ones on each side, and there's several of these cards. And it's just really fun. I don't know. So I have already started playing with this. I made my husband play one of the challenges with me. And then also my friend Maya came over, and we had the idea to build each other fiber advents. And I'm not going to go into detail about what we're doing here because I think we're going to talk about it a little bit later, maybe in another video. But we built our palettes out using these cards as well, which was so fun. And we just kind of spread them all out on the table. It was like, oh, you know, we're playing with them, moving them around and passing them to each other, and it was just really fun. So yeah, I'm loving this. I feel like especially if you're, I'm not a big color work knitter, but if you're a big color work knitter at all and you're trying to think about which colors to pair together, or like I think about this for stripes, or like I want to knit a blanket, what colors would go together, or if you just like to play and you're dreaming about color, I feel like it's really fun for that too. So anyway, I would recommend this. I can put a link to it down in the description. Again, I'm not getting any money for this. I probably should have asked them about that, but I did not, because I'm just a fan and purchased it for myself, and I wanted to share it with y'all in case you also want to play with color cards. So yeah, that is all acquisitions wise. I have not bought any other yarn. I'm not planning to buy any yarn, at least for a while, because I have lots of stuff I'm excited to work through. I have lots of stuff already planned. I have socks planned out for the whole year. I've been loosely writing down garment ideas for the rest of the year, so I am pretty much booked on that. So probably will not be buying a ton of yarn. My acquisition sections in the future may be a little brief or non-existent, but at least I had a couple things to share with y'all today. Okay, I think that's it for all the knitting and crafting stuff that I wanted to go through today. I'm trying to think about if there's anything else or anything like just general life update that is going on for us. We're back on our Sunday breakfast grind. Today is a Sunday, so we made pumpkin pancakes this morning, even though it's January, or it's February. It's February now when we made pumpkin pancakes. My husband and I have a deep disagreement about seasonal eating. I'm like, pumpkin is only a fall thing. We do not eat it in February, and he loves pumpkin and wants to eat it year round. So I was like, okay, we had some leftover pumpkin from something else that we must have made out of season. Actually, yeah, I think I made pumpkin rolls a couple weeks ago, which I really wanted to make in the fall, but just like, didn't have time for. So maybe it's partially my fault. Yeah. It feels like it should be fall, but since I missed it in fall, we went ahead and did it now. But yep, we've been doing that. We made lemon ricotta pancakes last week. Next week, I think I'm gonna try to make bagels. I've only made bagels one time in my life, and it was years ago, and I don't remember them turning out that great. So I'm gonna try again and see. I have been baking. I've been doing lots of sourdough baking in the last few weeks, and am perfectly honing that. We're making sourdough pizza tonight. I need to actually, after this, go and take the dough out of the fridge. Let's see, what else? I don't know. It's been unseasonably dry here this January, but it did snow actually this morning. It's not anymore, but yeah, we've had almost no rain or snow here in Seattle, which is crazy for January. Normally it's raining every single day, so that's a bad sign. Otherwise, we are just doing our best to hang in there. I feel like it's been kind of a weird and rough start to the year, so just taking care of each other, doing the best we can, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So thank you for tuning in. I am hoping to make some good progress in the next week or two, and hopefully I will have more to share with you next time. But in the meantime, I hope you do lots of knitting and watch lots of baseball. It's not baseball season. The Super Bowl is next weekend though, so if you watch the Super Bowl, have fun with that. Definitely go Eagles. And I hope you have a great week, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.